everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kelly and Andy McPhee.
Yes.
It's great to hear. I'm glad you took those steps. They're very admirable, and it's a different ability. It's not a disability.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's the thing, is it just goes all the time, disability, and I think for Eliza, and she might remember this, so we'd have a lot of IEPs at school, and I remember her year 7 teacher, and when you're talking about school, and Eliza's in the room as well, and she's saying to me, about goals for school, and one of the things I remember, I said to her, oh yeah, well, Eliza will be here to year 12. And they looked at me and go, well, Mrs. Brearley, kids like Eliza don't finish school. And I said to her, well, actually, what would be the first? And she'd go, probably, yeah. And I'd say, well, meet the Brearleys. I said, we're going to be your first. And I've stuck with that. And the time in an IEP when you said you wanted to be an actor, and they just laughed basically and said, Eliza kids like Eliza again don't become actors. And mind you, at the time you weren't really talking much, so they probably thought that wasn't going to happen. So we just go on a pathway and go, you know what, anyone that tells us we can't do something, then that's actually kicks in and go, you know what, who are you to define what we can and can't do? We all have, we're in a free country, we all have the rights to be able to develop into self, provided we're not, hurting anybody and, being safe. But I always find that interesting when people put, limits on people as well. And you probably, Doug, yourself, the journey that you've probably been through as well. When people say you can't do something, you decide that. And if Eliza doesn't want to do something, it's because she's decided that she doesn't want to do it, not because somebody's decided or given us the thought process that we can't. So I think together, that's me. My brain is going, you know what? And being a teacher as well, I've always had the thing about bringing the best out in people, their full potential, not, to hold them back. So having that probably has helped a lot. And Eliza, I just think she's gorgeous, and she's just such a great daughter, and who wouldn't want to help her?
Yeah, now that you brought up, how people will always say that you will never achieve something and then you do. That happened to me once. I went through a very rough period in high school and graduated, and there was one teacher that told me, you will never make it to college. You know what I mean? And you know what's ironic? What was ironic about that was 2 years later, I got accepted into an online university, and guess who my first teacher was?
That teacher.
He had moved over from my high school to become a college teacher, and he was my first teacher. And so when I came into his online class, you can imagine the smirk I had, the grin, when he realized who it was.
Yeah. On the flip side too, sometimes, not that I've ever done this as a teacher, but sometimes a good motivator could also, by saying that for some kids, it is actually the thing that flips them to prove them wrong as well. So, not all teachers, I think, but that happens a lot. And that's just me having faith that everybody, that does teaching's in there for the right reasons, to actually bring kids up, not to bring them down. But sometimes kids, do need that. But, I mean, we didn't. Like, you were a quiet girl and well behaved. But I hear that a lot with especially the boys, that are mucking around and stuff like that. You'll never do anything as well. But you know what? The main thing is, look at you now, like you're running a podcast, you're talking to someone that, from Australia. We're talking to someone from, overseas. Like this is our first time. So as well. How did you find us?
I found you after doing some research on some actresses out in Australia on Google search regarding out in Australia, some female actresses, and you were on the list.
Oh, wow. That's well. Yeah. But we've done a few bit of talking. So we've done a few motivational talks and things like that as well. And we just do be ourselves. And for us, it's about not so much talking about autism, Doug, but about showing what we're doing, because we are, we're living it and we're showing what's the potential. So through what Eliza does and how she does it, that's the lived experience. That's a person who's actually doing things that were, traditionally too hard for her to do. But the big flip on that is, I don't know what it's like over where you are, but we also have a scheme called the National Disability Insurance Scheme. And it's a government scheme that's set up to, support people with disabilities. And we've accessed that from when Eliza, when it first came in as well. And we've been able to support Eliza. One of the goals is inclusion and meaningful life, and that's what we've been doing. So her team of mentors that are all in the field are sharing their expertise with her in order for her to learn and develop, hopefully, her career. And we'll get there, Doug. That's one thing about us. Hopefully one day you'll be maybe interviewing us and we're over there, because Hollywood's something you've always wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure that Hollywood clears up the fire stuff. But I would love.
Yeah, very sorry about what's going on there. We have been watching that as well. Yeah, as well.
Another option, though, if Hollywood isn't really cleaned up and all that with the fires by the time that you want to get to America, another option would be San Diego, because I go there quite a bit and I've been there many times over the years.
Right.
Yeah, we've been saying it.
Yeah, just as it is on the train drive. What do they do over there?
I think they have a lot of beaches, obviously. They have a metropolitan area. They do a lot of boating tours, and, they have SeaWorld, although because of some stuff regarding keeping animals there, it's now a zoo. It's not like the show, I think, like it used to be, but still, it's fun. It's fun. And there's a beach that I like called Pacific Beach.
Yeah.
And it's also...
Actually, just on that one, so we actually did go to Hollywood. So when I said that, I actually meant she wants to go to Hollywood as an actor and go to the Oscars. As well. But we did go to Hollywood when she finished school. Her father organised a trip for us to go to Hollywood, so we went up and got a photo near the big sign and went through as well. But that it just again. Taking Eliza's interest seriously and not just, blowing them off or going, oh, well, that's just a pipe dream, So I think, that's what parents do, right? They want their kids to do well. And, that's what I did anyway.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia, saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.